herself for the WNBA. Let's get to the WNBA and this sensational rookie from the Indiana Fever who continues to be
The WNBA stands at a chilling crossroads that could crown it the most electrifying league in America or reduce years of progress to ashes. And according to Stephen A. Smith, the spark has already caught fire. Fans see the packed arenas, the viral highlights, and the roar that follows every deep three. But beneath that thunderous applause, a far more ominous battle is unfolding, one that threatens the future of the game and the meteoric rise of its brightest star, Caitlin Clark. While cameras chase her logo shots and jaw-dropping assists, league offices and the players' union are reportedly locked in a ruthless standoff, a high-stakes game of chicken that now feels like a direct warning to the rookie sensation. The hard fouls, the icy stares, the tense press conferences, those aren't isolated moments. They're symptoms of a deeper fracture in the league's business model. Smith's recent revelations suggest the league may be leveraging Clark's future against the upcoming collective bargaining agreement, a move that sounds procedural but feels personal to fans who believe she revived a struggling brand. This is no longer just basketball. It's a multi-million-dollar power struggle where veterans and executives allegedly aim to contain her influence before it grows beyond control. What once seemed like social media drama now appears to be calculated strategy, whispered in boardrooms and reflected on the hardwood. Yet the league may have underestimated the leverage Clark truly holds, and the fallout is beginning to spill into public view. Tensions escalated when players opted out of the current CBA, seeking higher pay and better conditions, demands that make sense on the surface, especially as revenue has soared since Clark's arrival, but the real conflict lies in who gets credit and how the money is divided. For years, the league survived on subsidies from the NBA. Now it boasts a $200 million media deal and charter flights, while veterans who fought for scraps watch a rookie transform the financial landscape in mere months. Instead of unity, reports suggest resentment, with rumors that if Clark refuses to align with union demands that could dilute her personal brand, she may face isolation on and off the court. This isn't idle gossip. It reflects the fierce gatekeeping that erupts when a disruptor enters a closed system. The league craves her numbers, but fears her voice, a contradiction fueling a volatile environment ready to erupt. Closed-door meetings reportedly shifted from professional to predatory, reinforcing Smith's claim that leadership is trying to have it both ways, using her image to sell tickets while warning her to stay silent about perceived unfair treatment. Sources hint that new CBA clauses could curb individual marketing power, effectively redistributing Clark's success across the league, a concept that sounds fair in theory but feels punitive when aimed at the very player who generated the windfall. Her camp is allegedly being told to be a team player, or risk losing what little protection exists, the kind of backroom pressure that rarely sees daylight. Smith has dragged it into the open because, in his view, breaking Clark would shatter the league's best chance at true mainstream dominance. Yet insiders claim officials believe survival without her is possible, a gamble many consider unthinkable. As negotiations intensify, the physicality on the court is viewed through a darker lens. What once passed as welcome to the league moments now looks like a physical echo of boardroom threats. Each cheap shot, each silent response from the league, feels like intimidation doing the dirty work of negotiations, because if Clark is forced to play cautiously, glancing over her shoulder and nursing injuries, the revolution she represents could be slowed before it truly begins. Stephen A. Smith has grown increasingly outspoken, warning that envy and resentment are clouding the league's judgment and steering it away from its own survival, arguing that the WNBA may be the only business bold enough to treat its greatest revenue engine like an outsider. The message feels unmistakable to fans: conform to the old guard or brace for a miserable path forward. This tension has carved a fault line not only in locker rooms but across the fan base, where supporters are exhausted from watching the future of the game undermined by its past. Just when the drama seemed to peak, whispers began swirling about how Caitlin Clark might respond, with speculation that her camp is weighing a nuclear option if the respect she's earned continues to be withheld. That response could range from skipping league-mandated marketing appearances to exploring opportunities beyond the traditional league structure in the offseason. If the CBA becomes a tool to threaten her earnings or safety, Clark possesses a level of star power capable of pushing back in ways no player before her ever could, and Smith has hinted that league offices are quietly terrified of that possibility, yet too stubborn to pivot. They remain trapped in a cycle of insisting the league is bigger than any one player, forgetting that the NBA rose to global dominance by embracing icons like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan. By pressuring Clark through the CBA, the league risks signaling that it would rather remain modest and controlled than bold and transformative, a sobering truth Smith is determined to drive home. Reports suggest the players' union is pushing for measures that make it harder for rookies to wield influence, a move widely viewed as aimed at Clark's meteoric rise, yet they may be overlooking a simple reality. Fans didn't tune in for bylaws or bargaining. They tuned in for the sharpshooter from Iowa. Perhaps most alarming is the silence from the commissioner's office. Instead of stepping in to shield the league's golden opportunity, leadership appears to be allowing rumors and threats to fester. That vacuum is what sparked Smith's latest tirade, accusing the league of fumbling a billion-dollar moment and behaving more like an exclusive club than a professional powerhouse. If the CBA negotiations collapse and Clark feels deliberately targeted, the reputational damage could be irreversible because her fiercely loyal supporters have little patience left for old-guard politics standing in the way of the league they believe she saved. If fans begin to believe their favorite star is being bullied by the very league she helped elevate, they won't just look away. They'll take their passion and their spending power with them, and the countdown toward a deadline that could reshape the sport forever will only grow louder. This threat reaches far beyond Caitlin Clark. It casts a shadow over the entire ecosystem of women's basketball. Consider the staggering revenue surge tied to her presence. Merchandise flying off shelves, arenas packed to capacity. In any other industry, she would be celebrated like royalty, yet within the WNBA she is framed as a dilemma to be managed. Stephen A. Smith has pointed to a pattern of subtle media leaks that attempt to question her legitimacy, whispering that she hasn't paid her dues, tactical narratives designed to weaken her leverage at the negotiating table. The fear, insiders suggest, is that if Clark fully grasps her worth, she could push for influence that reaches as far as ownership, an idea the current power structure is not prepared to confront. They want her to stay in her lane, sell tickets, smile for cameras, and remain silent while others decide how to distribute the wealth she helped create. But the truth is Clark has never been built for silence, and Smith is ensuring the spotlight remains fixed on what he portrays as failed attempts to contain her voice. This collision of pride and power is nearing a breaking point, with the looming CBA negotiations poised to become the battlefield where the league's future is decided. What Smith has effectively confirmed is a league divided. On one side, a once-in-a-generation talent drawing unprecedented attention. On the other, and clinging to tradition, seemingly more committed to preserving its culture than evolving into a global force. The CBA threats feel like a last-ditch effort by the status quo to maintain control in a world already moving beyond them, whether through bruising physical play on the court or calculated legal pressure behind closed doors. The message to Clark echoing the same warning: don't outgrow the system that was never designed for your scale. Yet what the league may not realize is that Clark has already outgrown the limits set before her, and if pushed further, she may be the one holding the leverage. The question is no longer whether she can survive the league, but whether the league can survive its treatment of her. As negotiations drag on and more unsettling details surface, the nation watches, waiting to see whether the league will embrace growth or cling to smallness out of spite. One certainty remains: Smith will not allow these revelations to remain in the shadows, and the truths he amplifies will only intensify. What comes next could become one of the most stunning chapters in sports history, hinging on who yields first in this high-stakes contest of power and pride, with the future of the league hanging precariously in the balance. It forces fans to wonder whether the WNBA truly aspires to major league stature or prefers the safety of a closed circle that dims anyone who shines too brightly. If the rumors hold and the threats prove real, we may be witnessing the opening act of the league's most defining crisis. sparked by its inability to embrace the light Clark brought into the room, while the fallout promises to be immense and the revelations only the beginning of a story still unfolding, leaving us to imagine a future where the WNBA must finally decide what it wants to become. Imagine if the WNBA truly embraced the stardom of its players instead of appearing to suppress it, because history shows leagues like the NBA and the NFL didn't just survive. They exploded in popularity by recognizing their athletes as their greatest assets. Yet the WNBA seems to be operating by a different, and some fear self-destructive, code. Stephen A. Smith has ignited a firestorm of questions about the ethics of league leadership, and when words like threatened and CBA are spoken in the same breath as Caitlin Clark, it sends a chill through basketball fans across the United States. This is no longer about a single player, it's about the integrity of the sport itself. If a league appears willing to diminish the influence of its brightest star to preserve a traditional power structure, what does that signal about the future of women's sports? The sobering reality is that the league may be winning a short-term battle while losing the larger war for public trust. Each newly revealed detail about internal politics adds another layer of skepticism for fans who simply want to believe in the game they love, and the exposure of boardroom pressure suggests a hierarchy more concerned with control than prosperity. As more truths surface, it's becoming clear that fans are rallying behind the player rather than the institution. The league now stands on a precipice, and the decisions it makes in the coming months regarding the CBA and its treatment of Clark will determine whether it rises to historic heights or collapses under the weight of envy and infighting. This unfolding saga is a real-time battle over legacy, fueled by greed, pride, and the struggle for relevance, and voices like Smith's have ensured the world is finally looking behind the curtain. The threat feels real, the tension unmistakable, and the outcome impossible to predict. But one certainty remains: the WNBA will never look the same after this season of turmoil and revelation. The spotlight has grown too bright to conceal backroom maneuvers, and the game is evolving whether leadership is prepared or not. Cracks in the foundation are visible now, and the sport may soon be forced to rebuild, ideally with greater respect for the talent that fills arenas and inspires a new generation. It's an unflinching glimpse into the underbelly of professional sports and a warning to anyone who believes the narrative can be controlled when the truth carries this much power. As the CBA deadline approaches, more revelations are certain to emerge, and the pressure will either force action or retreat under the weight of public scrutiny. Either way, Clark has already transformed the landscape, and the league is left to decide whether it can keep pace with the very star who propelled it into the national spotlight, with stakes this monumental and Smith's revelation serving as only the first domino in what promises to be a long, thunderous confrontation.